Hi, this is John, and this is week 19 of .dream/Brave Eduardo's devlog. So first things first, Hike and Graham, I am so sorry I got your names wrong. I would change it back, except I would personally prefer to keep the views. You know, like you saw, we don't have a lot of views, so I'm so sorry. I will try to do better next time with names. And also, hi Julie and hi Greg. Anyhow, this week's topic is what does it take to be an indie? And I think that this is something more it's more like a mental thing. It's not really what skills and all that. It's what kind of mentality should an indie have? And I think this topic came from when I had a meal with a really close friend. She works at a AAA company, and first things first, I think. Well, I already said that before. First thing, whatever. She's amazing. She works crazy hard and she overdoes a lot of things just like we do. In fact, I think whatever company hires her, she will make that company successful. Regardless, this topic of we realized during our talk that there's a very big difference between indie and AAA. And I think it is mostly stability and pride. Now, not saying that whatever she's doing doesn't have pride or stability. It's actually probably the exact opposite. We had a discussion and she was giving me, I would say, slightly unwanted suggestion. I feel like AAA people tend to think they know what's better for indies, or it might just be a young adult issue. I don't think it's pride. I think it's a young adult issue. You tend to think, oh, I know what's better. But regardless, we were having a discussion, and I'm very open to suggestions, so I was listening. Anyhow, we got to a point of our discussion where we could not continue. We still ended the meal very happy because we like seeing each other and we know each other for a long time now. But the topic that we couldn't get past is whether or not there is an objective wrong. And she believes there is an objective wrong, whereas I believe there's no such thing as objective wrong. I believe there's a Chinese saying, which is 塞翁失马焉知非福. The general story is a horse owner lost his best horse that one night, and he was very, very sad. That is the 塞翁失马 part. And the next day, the horse came back bringing a female horse. Now he has two horses. The general saying is telling you that the moment you lost something, it might not be a bad thing. It might be a good thing. And if you extend that a little bit more, it depends on where you cut it. You can judge a situation in very different light. If you cut it the first night, it is a bad thing. If you cut it the second night, it is a good thing. And I believe that's the same thing with right or wrong. You can make a decision in our game. I think Mirror Blade had a great example. We did something where we thought it was really good, morally correct, and we got a lot of support for it once we launched. We got a lot of downloads, a lot of people praising that idea. But then a week or two later, we started realizing, that great idea ended up costing us a lot more. We end up not making as much as we could have made. And I know opportunity cost is hard to judge, and that's probably one of the reasons why I also believe in this. But we realized that if we did that other thing, we could have done better. We could have made more money. And so if I cut it when we first launched, then it's a great thing. If I cut it the next week later, it's a bad thing. However, if I cut it like maybe a year later when we're going to investors or when we're talking to other developers or other gamers when we launch a new product, they might go like, oh, Mirror Blade, you did that right thing and I really enjoyed it. You guys probably suffered, but I enjoyed that thing. And then I might end up making more players play our game. So if we cut it then, it might actually turn into a good thing again. But do you generally see what I mean? Depending on where you cut things can be good and bad. And I don't believe, and because of that, I don't think there's a objectively wrong / an objectively right thing to do. I think when we had a discussion, she was trying to tell me that why she believes in that is because when you do a right thing or a wrong thing, unlike indies, they will cause a lot more people to suffer. So they have like 200, 300 people working on one project together. If there's a quote-unquote wrong decision, all 200 of them suffers. Whereas indies, when we make a bold decision, the only one that suffers is ourselves. But I think that is the main difference between an indie and AAA. Indies, we take a lot of risks, and I believe you should take risks. Only we can do it, because we are already prepared that if it fails, we are the one who can take responsibility. We made the call. We made the shot. We called out the shot. Is that how the phrase goes? We made the decision to do something and it failed. Because of that, which I also don't think it's easy to judge, then we take the full responsibility of whether or not it fails or succeeds. Whereas in AAA, I think people tend to take less risk because they know that there are 200 other people that depends on this job or this project succeeding. And I actually think that is the main reason why AAA company tends to stagger and not evolve, whereas indies are constantly evolving because we take risks. And I think in the end, that is what the indies are. The difference between indies, we can take instability. We go into things knowing that that might not be the right thing, or knowing that we don't know everything. And I think that's very, very powerful, because that's something you can translate to outside of the world. Things change all the time, and I think indies are pretty much prepared for it. Well, you can't really be prepared. You understand that change will happen, and whatever decision you make I think in general, indies just know that we don't know everything. You cannot plan for everything. You do your best to be prepared, but you cannot plan anything or suggest anything. You cannot plan for everything. And I think my friend, she tends to be she likes to prepare, and she likes to think ahead, quote unquote, where I think we have our difference there. But I definitely believe there's some merit in her thought. Like I said, as an indie, I understand that my reasoning might not be the best way. And at least a lot of the feelings I get from people who are working in AAA, or people who are, quote unquote, further in life, who likes to really give suggestions without listening, tend to believe they know everything. And I think that already cuts them out from being an indie. Being an indie means you know how to struggle in an unstable world, and you know how to take responsibilities of whether or not something succeeds or fails. And I think that is the biggest difference and the strength of an indie. Actually, one of the people that went to Mindfair to develop to show his game, his art style is super, I think, impressive. It stands out. It might not be the prettiest, but it stands out, and I actually think that matters more. Most of the really successful indie games have a very standout feature or a style, and I think that style is what an indie should strive for. Not polishness. Well, actually, polishness we should all strive for, but style to stand out in a very saturated market means way more than anything else. And I wish them good luck, and I believe they will do well if they stick to a style. So anyways, long story short, TLDR, if you are an indie, be proud of what you have done. You are the only one who can judge whether or not you have failed or succeeded. You are the only one, you are the only one who can judge whether or not you can do better, or what you have is already the best thing, or you want to stick to a style, and no matter what other people say, you know that your style matters more than anything else. Take risks if you're an indie. Do the craziest thing you can do in game, and you never know. It might not succeed in the very beginning, but it becomes 10 years later, it becomes a cult classic. You just never know, and acknowledge that we don't know everything. And that is what makes an indie strong. Anyways, it's a rant. I'll talk to you guys next week.